I'm one of the lucky few I've sold. And I'm here to tell you about my experience. I want to share the journey that was filled with challenges, with insights, and ultimately with success. So the first part of my talk, I'm going to be speaking about my journey as an entrepreneur and the different things I went through in thinking about selling my business, because my perspective on selling the business changed over time. And then the second part, I'm going to share 7 key learnings that I had in reflecting on my sale. So my early days were in 2007. I started MD Outlook, fresh off the boat in the US, 3 years. I have a young family and a green card application in the mail. So perfect time to start. Not really, but oh well. I started, and MD Outlook grew quickly on the basis of proprietary algorithms and a platform to deliver influencer information around oncologists and hematologists, as well as market research. So we grew to about $1 million in 2 years. So 2009, $1 million. And if you would ask me then, will you sell? I would have told you, yes, I will sell. It's going to be my exit. Fast forward to 2017. 3 pivots in my business model, some challenges, some learnings. I'm about $2.5 million at that time. And no fear of the unknown and the interest, I actually entered into 2 sales processes because I got calls maybe every week, certainly every month. And I tried a sales process in 2011 and one in 2016. And realizing now that I was wholly unprepared. I jumped right in thinking I could sell, and through the due diligence processes, I realized that I was unprepared, and as we were talking, the due diligence, the valuation started to drop, the terms got more negative, and I pulled out. Only to realize 6 months later that I had lost a lot of business because I was trying to sell my business instead of trying to sell business. Because as the reluctant business developer, owner of the business, guess what you do? You sell. And I had not been spending time on selling. So if you would have asked me then, will you sell? I would have told you, well, should I really want to sell? So $2.5 million worth of revenue, 2017, pretty positive. I go into 2018. And we're ramping up people, we're ramping up resources. 2018 is going to be a great year. Well, guess what? It was our COVID before COVID, because through some things happening in the marketplace, in March, I realized I'm not getting positive responses from my clients. They're not saying yes to my projects. Cash flow is becoming an issue. And in April, with the help and inputs of my forum, I decided to furlough all of our staff and to drastically reduce operations. In fact, through the summer of 2018, several occasions I thought I'm going to pull the plug on the business and I'm going to have to find a job. So if you would tell me then, you want to sell, I have nothing left to sell. It's gone. Fast forward to Q4 of 2018, we actually land a very big new client and ultimately generate about 75% of the revenue in 2018 of 2017, so not bad. And that gives a lot of energy going into 2019. And focus on new partnerships. And in February of 2019, I meet the first EOer that really understood our business because he had been working in our business, Josh in Miami, and we start to talk. He had sold a couple of businesses, and he was interested in joining us. So he joins management, and we start to build the business. And with a lot of energy, COVID happens, but really for us, COVID was merely flipping a switch. We were already ready for COVID. We had our COVID in 2018. So we build up our resources, we build up our revenue, and I think we close out the year at about $2.7 million. So we went from 2.3 to much less to 2.7. So it's a little bit of that roller coaster ride. And we actually starting to see a roadmap to a sale. And so if you had asked me then, would you sell? yes, we will sell. And why do I say we? Because in Q3 of 2020, my partner Josh actually joins me as a minority partner, and he invests about $800,000 to actually get us ready for a sale. Because we needed to invest in resources, we needed to invest in people, we really need to get ready for a sale. As part of that readiness, we actually build a roadmap. So we build a roadmap for a sale. And what, in our case, that meant was we needed to get to $5 million worth of revenue and $1 million worth of EBITDA. And the reasons for that were, on the buyer side, by getting to those milestones, they would put us in a different bracket. You have kind of proven your success. We're going to be really interested in you. And for us, it meant that our multiples would actually start to increase quite a bit. So in our field, you'd be looking at about 2x for revenue, 10x EBITDA. So pretty sizable multiples. So we got that roadmap going. And in 21, Q1, we're about on track to hit 4 million in 21 and go to 5 million in 22. So we're getting set for a sale, and we would sell through a sales process. And then the unexpected happened. Until then, I had fended off any call from anybody who was interested in buying us, and we would still get the calls every week, every month. And I said, nope, not interested. But in April of 21, a friend of mine, a banker, who had helped me in previous processes, says, hey, I've been hired by this medical education company, CEA, big medical education company, and they want to buy a market insights company. You're one of those market insight companies, and it just happened that they lost a major bid on a rival company, and they're pissed off. And the CEO has looked at you, and they're very, very interested. Do you want to talk? I would have said no, except that this was my friend and banker, and I had a trusted relationship with him. Okay, let's talk. So April 17th, we have our first presentation. And it goes well. And in fact, at the end of the presentation, they tell me, we want to buy you. Okay. So we were ready for the purchase, or for the sales process. We were set for it, but we were not going to sell yet because that was meant for 2023. So what do you mean with that? Talk about numbers. And so in about 3 weeks, lots of negotiations with the PE company that was backing CEA, we actually end up getting to an LOI, a letter of intent, which outlined the deal, outlined the valuation, outlined the structure of the deal. And I told the PE guys and I told the CEO, if you're going to renege on what you've just offered me, I'm going to walk away. I had those previous 2 opportunities. I walked away. I'm not going to do another one of those because I knew what it would happen, or what it would impact our business if I did that. So then the fun part starts, due diligence, because of course an LOI is subject to due diligence. And it's like a business proctology or a gynecology exam. It's not painful, it's uncomfortable, it is unpleasant, it's necessary. You got to do it. And fortunately, we were really ready for it. We had put all of our contracts in the cloud. We had answers to all of the questions that were asked, but still, it was probably 30 to 40 hours of my time per week extra. And at the same time, I was running the business because I had learned my lesson from the previous 2 times. I don't want to get into that situation again. And so I was not just selling business to my clients, I was selling my business to the buyer and selling the business again to the consultants of the buyers, because they are hired to be as judgmental and as critical as possible because they want to de-risk that transaction. And you're going to get a lot of questions about why. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? And while we had the contracts and we had the experience or the proof of our decisions, I realized that in that process, we are really bad at recording why we made those decisions. We record the decision at best. We never record the context. We never record the whys of that decision. And that's what they probe on all the time. So I was continuously selling my business to the consultants. But We worked through all of this, and I'll spend a little bit of time later explaining what we did to actually a transaction. July 22nd, sitting outside Rome at Lenox Square, waiting for 4 meetings, right? Sitting in the car, and you go through that whole notion of lawyer saying yes, 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 yes. Money hits your account, now you've transactions. So yes, we have sold. And that, of course, came on the heels of a lot of what ifs, will it close, all of the roller coaster emotions that you go through. But yes, we've sold. And now what? Key learnings that I've had and key reflections that I've had since selling. There are 7 of them. First of all, be prepared. The first 2, I failed because I wasn't prepared. Being prepared was getting all of our ducks in a row, getting all of our contracts out, being structured, putting everything in QuickBooks Online, putting everything in HubSpot. In fact, I gave the consultants my logins to HubSpot, QuickBooks, SharePoint, and said, have at it. Check out my stuff. If you've got questions, come back. And that gave them a lot of trust. That was a big change. So be prepared. It will reduce the pain or the uncomfortable part of the proctology exam. Second, know your worth. I knew what I wanted to get out of a deal. I'd presented to my firm previously, and we went in thinking we're going to ask for 2x of revenue of 2021. And mind you, this is April of 21, right? So it's early. It's not proven yet. And we said, maybe. And then the banker who was hired by the selling or by the buying company, he advised us. I won't say it's unethical, but he was a good friend, and he said, well, what the PE company is thinking about is probably 3x. So go for 4x, and you probably end up at 3x, and that's exactly where we ended up. Another part of the strategy was, at this moment in the negotiations, you can probably ask for 3 things, but you're only going to get 2. Know the 2 that you want, and know the walk-away point. So know your worth, know your approach. The third one is surround yourself with experts. The banker wasn't working for us. I would never do that again in that case. And we realized as we were doing this deal that we didn't know a lot of stuff. We didn't know a lot of things like, okay, what is a structured deal? What is the quality of earnings? We didn't know time to revenue. And those were things that we really had to give answers on to the consultants. So be prepared to have these types of answers available for your company and know what it means to talk about the second bite of the apple or under the tent. We realized that the company that we were dealing with, their business is buying and selling companies. They do 100 transactions a year, 2 a week, of companies that are 5 times our size. So guess what? They put a lot of resources to those transactions. And we couldn't match those resources, but we could match them in certain places. So we realized, for instance, they had a New York-based law firm. Okay, sorry, Mitesh, he's our lawyer. Can't work with you on this one. We're going to have to use a New York-based, Park Avenue-based law firm to actually meet, kind of be on par with the law firm. And yes, they will charge you $15,000 for a conference call that only had lawyers. So surround yourself with experts. They're going to help you. That's the lesson that I learned. They will also give you the best advice on the best deal structure. I was not a novice in transactions. I had sold 1 company, bought 2 companies, was in 2 failed sales processes. Yet I lost the eye for what is the best deal structure. I knew that the value that they were giving us was really, really sweet. And I didn't want to upset that deal, so I didn't negotiate hard on the deal structure. But that's where I probably should have done better. 5th one, communicate effectively. Really think about who should be part of the deal process and who should not be. Who is under the tent, knowing what is happening, and who is not part of that. Because your business needs to run. Your business needs to perform. That's what the buyer expects and what you need, because you're not certain that the transaction is going to happen. So communicate effectively, be prepared, be in the moment, no multitasking when you're on a call with folks. Can't happen, because you're going to bleed dry when you do that. 6.1, consider yourself equal. While you may think that the buyer has all the power, they're the ones with the money, they're the ones that want to transact, the reality is they need you as much as you need them. I don't know what the percentages of deals that actually don't close, but if it's 50%, I wouldn't be surprised. So they need you. Just think about the folks that are on the other side of the equation. Think about their experience. Think of what's in it for them, and you can play to that. Stand your ground. Be nice when you do it, but stand your ground. And the 7th one, think about the post-deal time. What are you going to do after the deal? In our case, I never got to that. The CEO wasn't ready to talk about this. We didn't have the mental capacity. And in fairness, this whole process took 3 months, which is extremely fast. So we didn't really have time to think about the post-deal, but in hindsight, I should have thought much more about the post-deal. Is the earn-out time a reasonable time? Is what the role that they've got in mind for me the right one? Can I take time off to recharge? Because I think it took me about a year to really get back my energy levels. But can you step away? What's the message that you send to your clients or your people when you step away from after a transaction? I don't think that you can do that. So how do you handle that? And I should have given that much more time, much more thought. So as Ethan alluded to, I've started 2 new companies. Actually, for Console, we went live today, literally, and I'm being very intentional. So the big lesson for these 2 companies is being really intentional, planned out. We have got a hiring plan that is planned out for the next 3 years, and we're just working towards that plan. That is not something that I would have done in the previous business. So we're building from experience, and love to share that maybe in the next talk how that all panned out. Maybe it didn't, maybe it will. We'll see. Thank you.